The lights in the grand auditorium dimmed, casting a warm golden glow over the excited crowd. People clapped and cheered as they waited for the main guest to appear on stage. Cameras flashed, capturing every movement, every smile, every moment of anticipation. This was a big night, a celebration of talent, hard work, and years of dedication. And at the center of it all was Keanu Reeves, the man who had become a symbol of kindness, humility, and extraordinary skill in the world of cinema. Everyone knew him not just for his roles in blockbuster movies, but also for the quiet grace he carried off screen. Tonight, he was here to receive an award, one that recognized his incredible contributions to film and his impact on audiences worldwide. Keanu stood backstage, adjusting his suit jacket for the 100th time. He wasn't nervous about the speech or the attention. He had done this many times before. What made him pause was the weight of the occasion. He thought about how far he'd come, from struggling to make ends meet in his early days to becoming someone people admired and respected. As he took a deep breath, he reminded himself to stay present, to enjoy the moment rather than let it overwhelm him. The sound of the audience grew louder, their cheers echoing through the walls, pulling him back to reality. It was time. When Keanu finally stepped onto the stage, the room erupted into applause. It was the kind of ovation that could shake the foundations of any building, yet Keanu walked with the same calmness and composure he always did. His presence was magnetic, drawing everyone's eyes toward him. He waved gently, smiling at the crowd, and then approached the podium. For a brief moment, he looked out at the sea of faces, fans, colleagues, friends, and felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He cleared his throat and began to speak, his voice steady and warm. "Thank you," he started, his words simple, but heartfelt. "This is such an honor, and I'm truly grateful to be here tonight." The audience responded with another round of applause, encouraging him to continue. Keanu went on to thank the organizers, his co-stars, directors, and most importantly, the fans who had supported him throughout his career. Each sentence flowed effortlessly, like a conversation with an old friend. But as he spoke, something unusual happened. Midway through his speech, his gaze drifted to the front row, where familiar faces usually sat. Among them, he spotted someone unexpected, someone he hadn't seen in decades. At first, he thought his mind was playing tricks on him, but as he squinted slightly, the realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. It was Mr. Thompson, his high school English teacher. For a split second, Keanu forgot where he was. All the noise around him faded into the background as memories flooded back. He remembered sitting in Mr. Thompson's classroom, scribbling notes while trying to focus on Shakespearean sonnets. He remembered staying after school to rehearse lines for the drama club, even though he doubted his ability to act. Most of all, he remembered the countless times Mr. Thompson had encouraged him, telling him that he had potential Keanu himself often failed to see. Those words had meant everything to him back then, and now, seeing the man responsible for planting those seeds of confidence left him speechless. Keanu stopped talking mid-sentence, his mouth hanging open slightly as he stared at Mr. Thompson. The audience noticed the change immediately. The energy in the room shifted from celebratory to curious. Some people leaned forward in their seats, wondering what had caught Keanu's attention. Others whispered among themselves, speculating about the cause of his sudden pause. Sensing the awkward silence, the host of the evening stepped closer to Keanu and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Is everything all right?" the host asked, concern evident in his tone. Keanu blinked a few times, snapping out of his daze. He glanced at the host and then back at Mr. Thompson, who was sitting quietly, watching him with a soft smile. "Yeah," Keanu replied, his voice quieter than before. I just saw someone I haven't seen in a very long time." The host followed Keanu's line of sight and spotted Mr. Thompson in the front row. Without hesitation, he turned to the audience and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have a special guest here tonight." The spotlight moved across the room, landing directly on Mr. Thompson, who looked surprised to find himself suddenly in the limelight. Applause filled the air once again, this time directed at Mr. Thompson. People craned their necks to get a better look at the man who had clearly played a significant role in Keanu's life. Mr. Thompson stood up slowly, waving, modestly as if unsure of what to do. He was dressed simply, wearing a suit that looked slightly too big for his frame, and his gray hair was neatly combed. Despite the attention, he exuded a sense of calm and humility, qualities that mirrored Keanu's own personality. The resemblance between teacher and student, though subtle, was undeniable. The host gestured for Mr. Thompson to join Keanu on stage. At first, Mr. Thompson hesitated, shaking his head as if to decline the invitation. But the audience wouldn't have it. They cheered louder, urging him to come forward. Finally, with a sheepish grin, Mr. Thompson made his way up the steps, each step accompanied by thunderous applause. When he reached the stage, Keanu extended his hand, but instead of shaking it, Mr. Thompson pulled him into a hug. It was a brief but powerful embrace, one that conveyed years of unspoken gratitude and admiration. The audience roared in approval, some standing up to give them a standing ovation. As Mr. Thompson took the microphone, the room fell silent. Everyone wanted to hear what he had to say. He adjusted the mic stand slightly, clearing his throat before speaking. "Well," he began, his voice warm and full of emotion, "this is quite the surprise." Laughter rippled through the crowd, easing the tension. Mr. Thompson continued, sharing stories about Keanu's time in high school. He talked about how Keanu used to sit near the window, lost in thought during class, and how he would often stay late to practice scenes for the school play. Even back then, Mr. Thompson said, you could tell Keanu was destined for greatness. Every word Mr. Thompson spoke painted a vivid picture of Keanu's younger self, a boy full of dreams, but burdened by self-doubt. He described moments where Keanu struggled, moments where he questioned whether he was good enough. Yet through it all, Mr. Thompson never wavered in his belief in Keanu's abilities. "You were always determined," he said, looking directly at Keanu. "Even when things didn't go your way, you kept pushing forward. That's something I've always admired about you." Keanu listened intently, his eyes locked on Mr. Thompson. Every story brought back memories, some happy, others bittersweet. He remembered the late nights spent memorizing lines, the rejections that stung more than he cared to admit, and the moments of doubt that threatened to derail his journey. But above all, he remembered Mr. Thompson's unwavering support, the pep talks, the advice, the gentle nudges that kept him moving forward. As these thoughts swirled in his mind, Keanu felt a lump form in his throat. He tried to blink away the tears that threatened to spill, but it was no use. They streamed down his face, glistening under the stage lights. The audience watched in awe, captivated by the raw emotion unfolding before them. Many in the crowd wiped away their own tears, moved by the sincerity of the moment. It wasn't just about Keanu's success or Mr. Thompson's influence. It was about the profound connection between a teacher and his student, a bond that had stood the test of time. In that moment, the auditorium felt less like a venue for awards and more like a sacred space where gratitude and humanity intertwined. As the applause slowly died down, Mr. Thompson handed the microphone back to Keanu, who was still trying to compose himself. His cheeks were wet with tears, and his hands trembled slightly as he gripped the podium. The audience could see how deeply moved he was, and it only made them more invested in the moment. Keanu took a deep breath, his chest rising and falling as he struggled to find the right words. For someone known for his calm demeanor, this was uncharted territory. He wasn't used to being so vulnerable in front of thousands of people, but tonight felt different. It felt necessary. "I don't know where to start," Keanu admitted, his voice shaky but sincere. "I mean, I've spent years preparing for moments like this, accepting awards, giving speeches, but nothing could have prepared me for seeing Mr. Thompson here tonight." He paused, glancing at his former teacher, who stood beside him with a proud smile. "Mr. Thompson wasn't just my English teacher, he was the person who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. He saw something in me that I couldn't see, and he never let me give up." The crowd listened intently, hanging on every word. Keanu's speech wasn't polished or rehearsed. It was raw and honest, like he was speaking directly to Mr. Thompson, rather than addressing an entire auditorium. He went on to share specific memories from high school, moments that had shaped him into the person he was today. There was the time he auditioned for the lead role in the school play but didn't get it. Instead of letting disappointment consume him, Mr. Thompson encouraged him to take on a smaller part and work harder next time. He told me that every role matters, Keanu recalled, his voice breaking slightly. That even if you're not the star, you can still shine. And those words stuck with me. Keanu then spoke about the challenges he faced after graduating. Moving to Hollywood wasn't easy. He worked odd jobs to make ends meet, often sleeping on friends' couches or in his car. Rejection letters piled up, and there were days when he questioned whether he should keep pursuing acting. But whenever doubt crept in, he remembered Mr. Thompson's lessons, not just about literature or drama, but about perseverance and self-belief. He taught me that success isn't just about talent, Keanu said. It's about grit. It's about showing up, even when things are hard, and refusing to quit. The audience erupted into applause again, touched by Keanu's heartfelt reflection. Many nodded along, recognizing the universal truth in his words. Success stories often focus on the glamorous outcomes, but Keanu was reminding everyone of the struggles behind the scenes, the long nights, the sacrifices, the people who lift you up when you feel like giving up. It was a message that resonated deeply, especially for anyone chasing their own dreams. When the clapping subsided, Keanu turned to Mr. Thompson and placed a hand on his shoulder. "I owe so much of who I am to you," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "You gave me the tools to succeed, but more importantly, you gave me the courage to try. And I'll never forget that." Mr. Thompson's eyes glistened, with tears as he patted Keanu's hand. "You did the work, Keanu," he replied gently. "All I did was remind you of what you already knew, that you're capable of amazing things." The two men shared a look that needed no words. It was a moment of mutual respect and gratitude, one that transcended the boundaries of student and teacher. They weren't just celebrating Keanu's achievements, they were honoring the journey that brought him here. The audience seemed to understand this too, as another wave of applause filled the room. People stood up, cheering, not just for Keanu, but for the bond between mentor and mentee, a bond that had clearly stood the test of time. After a few minutes, the host stepped forward to steer the event back on track. "This is truly a special night," he said, smiling warmly at both Keanu and Mr. Thompson. "But we need to keep moving or else we'll run out of tissues." His joke lightened the mood, drawing laughter from the crowd. Still, it was clear that the evening had taken on a life of its own. No one wanted to rush through such a meaningful moment, least of all Keanu. Before handing the stage over to the next presenter, Keanu made one final request. "Can we do something for Mr. Thompson?" he asked, turning to the host. "He deserves recognition too for inspiring not just me, but countless other students throughout his career." The host nodded enthusiastically, agreeing that such a gesture was long overdue. Together, they invited Mr. Thompson to stay on stage while the audience gave him another standing ovation. This time, the applause lasted even longer, with some people whistling and others chanting his name. Mr. Thompson looked overwhelmed but deeply grateful, waving awkwardly as if unsure of how to respond to such adoration. As the ceremony continued, Keanu couldn't shake the feeling that something inside him had shifted. Seeing Mr. Thompson again reminded him of why he started acting in the first place. Not for fame or fortune, but to tell stories that mattered, to connect with people on a deeper level. It was easy to lose sight of that purpose in the whirlwind of Hollywood, but tonight brought everything back into focus. He resolved to carry Mr. Thompson's lessons with him wherever he went, using his platform not just to entertain, but to inspire others the way he had been inspired. Backstage after the event, Keanu found himself surrounded by reporters eager to hear more about his emotional speech. Cameras flashed, microphones were thrust toward him, and questions came rapid fire. Yet despite the chaos, Keanu remained calm and composed. He answered each question thoughtfully, emphasizing the importance of mentors and the impact they can have on someone's life. "We all need people who believe in us," he said. People who push us to be better even when we doubt ourselves. Mr. Thompson was that person for me, and I'll always be grateful. Meanwhile, Mr. Thompson mingled with guests in the lobby, shaking hands and accepting compliments with quiet humility. He seemed genuinely surprised by the attention, insisting that he was just doing his job as a teacher. But those around him knew better. They understood that great teachers don't just teach, they transform lives. And Mr. Thompson had undoubtedly transformed Keanu's. By the end of the night, the story of Keanu and Mr. Thompson had spread far beyond the walls of the auditorium. Social media buzzed with clips of the emotional reunion, hashtags praising, teachers trended worldwide, and news outlets hailed it as one of the most touching moments in recent memory. It was proof that sometimes the smallest gestures, the kind words of a teacher, the simple act of believing in someone, can leave the biggest impact. For Keanu, this night wasn't just about receiving an award. It was about reconnecting with the roots of his journey and honoring the man who helped him grow. As the evening wore on, the energy in the auditorium remained electric. People couldn't stop talking about what had just unfolded on stage. The unexpected reunion between Keanu and Mr. Thompson wasn't just a heartwarming moment. It was a reminder of how much influence one person can have on another's life. Strangers sitting next to each other exchanged stories about their own teachers, recalling moments when someone believed in them or pushed them to pursue their dreams. It was as if the entire room had been reminded of the power of kindness and encouragement. Backstage, Keanu found a quiet corner where he could gather his thoughts. Despite the noise from reporters and crew members bustling around, he felt a strange sense of calm. He leaned against the wall, closing his eyes for a moment, letting everything sink in. Seeing Mr. Thompson again had stirred up emotions he hadn't realized were buried so deep. Memories of his high school years came rushing back. Memories of uncertainty, hard work, and small victories. But most of all, he remembered the feeling of being supported, of having someone in his corner who truly cared about his future. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. When he opened his eyes, he saw Mr. Thompson standing there, looking slightly embarrassed. "I hope I'm not disturbing you," Mr. Thompson said with a smile. Keanu shook his head quickly, gesturing for him to come closer. "Not at all," he replied. "I was just thinking about, well, everything." There was a pause as both men stood there, unsure of what to say next. Finally, Keanu broke the silence. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice filled with emotion. "For coming here tonight, for believing in me all those years ago. For everything." Mr. Thompson chuckled softly, brushing off the praise as though it were nothing. "You don't need to thank me, Keanu," he said. "You've done all the hard work. I just tried to guide you a little along the way." But Keanu wouldn't let him downplay his role. "No," he insisted, shaking his head firmly. "It's more than that. You didn't just guide me, you gave me hope. You showed me that failure isn't the end, that every setback is just a step toward something better. Without you, I don't know if I would have kept going." The sincerity in Keanu's words made Mr. Thompson's eyes well up with tears. For years, he had dedicated his life to teaching, pouring his heart into helping students discover their potential. Yet, he rarely got to see the long-term impact of his efforts. Most teachers never know how far their influence reaches. But tonight, standing face-to-face with Keanu, Mr. Thompson could see it clearly. His guidance hadn't just helped a struggling student, it had shaped the course of a remarkable life. They talked for a while longer, reminiscing about old times and catching up on the years they had missed. Mr. Thompson shared stories about his retirement, his family, and the occasional letter he received from former students thanking him for his lessons. Keanu listened intently, soaking in every detail. He realized how much he had taken for granted, the quiet dedication of teachers like Mr. Thompson, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes without expecting recognition or reward. It made him appreciate even more the sacrifices educators make to help others succeed. Eventually, the conversation turned to the present. Keanu asked Mr. Thompson what he thought of Hollywood now, compared to when Keanu first started out. Mr. Thompson laughed, admitting that he didn't follow celebrity news closely. "To me, You'll always be the same kid who used to sit in my classroom scribbling notes and dreaming big, he said. All this fame and success, it's impressive, sure, but it doesn't change who you are, and that's what matters most. Keanu nodded, understanding exactly what Mr. Thompson meant. Fame had brought him many opportunities, but it had also tested his values. There were times when he felt pressure to conform, to play roles or make decisions based on expectations rather than authenticity. But tonight, surrounded by reminders of his roots, he felt grounded again. He knew that staying true to himself was the key to navigating the complexities of his career and life. As they wrapped up their chat, Keanu made a promise to Mr. Thompson. He would visit him soon, maybe spend an afternoon catching up properly, over coffee or lunch. Mr. Thompson agreed, clearly delighted by the idea. Before leaving, he placed a hand on Keanu's shoulder once more. "Remember," he said gently, "no matter where life takes you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep inspiring others, just like you inspire me." Keanu smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Later that night, after the event had ended and the crowds had dispersed, Keanu sat alone in his dressing room, reflecting on everything that had happened. His phone buzzed constantly with messages from friends, colleagues, and fans congratulating him on the award and praising his speech. But instead of basking in the attention, he found himself thinking about Mr. Thompson's parting words. Inspiring others, that was something he wanted to focus on moving forward. He decided then and there to use his platform to highlight the importance of education and mentorship, to shine a light on the people who shape lives without seeking credit. Next morning, Keanu woke up early, unable to sleep any longer. The events of the previous night replayed in his mind like a vivid movie. He grabbed a notebook and began jotting down ideas, ways he could give back to teachers and students, projects he could support to honor mentors like Mr. Thompson. One idea stood out immediately: creating a scholarship fund for aspiring actors, writers, and artists who needed financial assistance to pursue their dreams. He envisioned it as a way to pay forward the kindness and belief Mr. Thompson had shown him. By the time breakfast arrived, Keanu already had a rough plan sketched out. He called his team to discuss the concept, explaining how personal it was to him. They were enthusiastic about the idea, promising to start working on it right away. Over the next few weeks, Keanu threw himself into the project, collaborating with organizations that supported arts education and reaching out to fellow actors and filmmakers to contribute. Word spread quickly, and soon donations began pouring in from across the industry. The scholarship fund became a reality faster than anyone expected, named after Mr. Thompson as a tribute to his lifelong dedication to teaching. When Keanu called Mr. Thompson to share the news, the retired teacher was speechless. "I don't know what to say," he admitted, his voice trembling with emotion. "This is incredible." Keanu laughed warmly. "You deserve it," he said. "And besides, it's not just for you. It's for every teacher out there making a difference. We owe them so much." Mr. Thompson thanked him repeatedly, promising to attend the inaugural ceremony when the scholarships were awarded. In the months that followed, Keanu threw himself into promoting the scholarship fund, using interviews and public appearances to raise awareness. Each time he spoke about it, he emphasized the importance of mentorship and gratitude. He encouraged young people to seek out mentors and urged adults to take the time to guide others. His message resonated deeply, sparking conversations about the value of education and the lasting impact of supportive relationships. For Keanu, the experience changed him in ways he hadn't anticipated. It wasn't just about honoring Mr. Thompson. It was about reconnecting with his own journey and remembering why he fell in love with acting in the first place. Every interaction with students and educators reminded him of the joy of storytelling and the power of human connection. He realized that success wasn't just about achieving goals. It was about lifting others up along the way. As the scholarship program grew, Keanu often thought about that magical night in the auditorium. It had started as a celebration of his accomplishments, but had transformed into something much bigger, a testament to the ripple effect of kindness and belief. And through it all, Mr. Thompson remained a constant source of inspiration, reminding Keanu that true success lies not in accolades or awards, but in the lives we touch and the legacies we leave behind. The scholarship program quickly gained momentum, becoming more than just a way to support aspiring artists. It turned into a movement. People from all walks of life were inspired by Keanu's story and the heartfelt tribute to Mr. Thompson. Teachers, students, parents, and even strangers reached out to share their own experiences of mentorship and gratitude. Social media lit up with stories of educators who had changed lives, and hashtags like Nauder Thank a Teacher and Mentors Matter began trending worldwide. What started as a personal gesture from Keanu blossomed into a global conversation about the importance of guiding and uplifting others. Keanu threw himself into the project wholeheartedly, attending events, hosting fundraisers, and speaking at schools across the country. He made it a point to visit classrooms and meet students face-to-face, sharing his journey and encouraging them to chase their dreams. During these visits, he often recounted the struggles he faced early in his career, the rejections, the self-doubt, and the moments when giving up seemed like the easiest option. But he always ended on a hopeful note, reminding students that perseverance and support could carry them through even the toughest times. "You don't have to do it alone," he would say. "Find people who believe in you and hold on to them tightly." One particular visit stood out to Keanu, a small art school in a rural town where resources were limited but passion ran high. The students there reminded him so much of himself at that age, eager, talented, yet unsure if they belonged in the competitive world of art and entertainment. As he walked through the hallways, admiring their paintings, sculptures, and performances, he felt a deep sense of connection. These kids weren't just creating art, they were telling their stories, expressing emotions, and finding their voices. And for many of them, this scholarship program represented a lifeline, an opportunity to pursue their passions without worrying about finances. During his talk with the students, Keanu noticed one girl sitting quietly in the back of the room. She was younger than most of the others, maybe 12 or 13, and held a sketch pad close to her chest. Her eyes darted around nervously, avoiding direct contact with anyone. After the presentation, Keanu approached her gently, asking if she wanted to show him her work. At first, she hesitated, clutching the sketch pad tighter. But after some encouragement, she slowly opened it to reveal page after page of stunning drawings, vivid landscapes, intricate character designs, and imaginative worlds brought to life with pencil and ink. Her name was Mia, and she explained, shyly, that she loved drawing but didn't think she was good enough to make it as an artist. Keanu knelt down to her level, looking her straight in the eye. "Do you know what I see when I look at your work?" he asked softly. Mia shook her head. "I see someone with immense talent and creativity, someone who has the potential to inspire others. Don't let fear or doubt stop you from sharing your gift with the world." His words seemed to strike a chord with her. For the first time that day, she smiled, a small, tentative smile, but a start nonetheless. Moments like this reaffirmed Keanu's commitment to the scholarship program. It wasn't just about handing out money. It was about planting seeds of confidence in young minds. He knew firsthand how powerful a few kind words could be, especially when spoken by someone who believed in you. Every student he met, every story he heard, fueled his determination to keep going. Meanwhile, Mr. Thompson followed the progress of the scholarship fund closely, though he remained modest about its namesake. When asked about it during interviews, he deflected the attention back to Keanu. "This is all him," he'd say. "I simply did my job as a teacher. Keanu is the one making a real difference now." Despite his humility, it was clear that Mr. Thompson was proud, not just of Keanu's success, but of the ripple effect his teachings had created. Watching his former student use his platform to uplift others filled him with a profound sense of fulfillment. As the months passed, the scholarship program expanded beyond financial aid. Keanu partnered with organizations to provide workshops, mentorship programs, and networking opportunities for recipients. He invited industry professionals to participate, offering guidance and advice to young artists navigating the complexities of creative careers. These initiatives gave students not only the tools they needed to succeed but also a sense of belonging, a community of like-minded individuals who understood their struggles and shared their aspirations. One of the highlights of the program was the annual awards ceremony, where scholarships were officially granted to deserving students. The event was designed to celebrate not just the recipients, but also the teachers and mentors who had supported them along the way. Each year, Keanu delivered a heartfelt speech, emphasizing the importance of gratitude and paying it forward. "None of us gets here alone," he would say. "Behind every success story is a network of people who cared enough to help. So today, as we honor these incredible students, let's also take a moment to thank the mentors who made it possible." At the second annual ceremony, something unexpected happened. Mia, the shy girl from the rural arts school, was among the scholarship recipients. When her name was called, she walked onto the stage with visible nerves, clutching her acceptance letter tightly. Keanu greeted her warmly, congratulating her on her achievement. "Remember what I told you?" he whispered as he handed her the TOER award. "You're exactly where you're meant to be." Tears streamed down Mia's face as she nodded, overwhelmed by the moment. The audience erupted into applause, cheering not just for her accomplishment but for the journey that had led her there. After the ceremony, Keanu sought out Mia's teacher, a woman named Mrs. Lewis, who had nominated her for the scholarship. "Thank you for believing in her," Keanu said, shaking her hand firmly. Mrs. Lewis smiled, her eyes glistening with pride. "She's special," she replied, "but honestly, I think she would have given up if it weren't for your visit last year. You showed her that her dreams are worth fighting for." Hearing those words filled Keanu with a sense of purpose. This was why he did what he did, to remind people that their efforts mattered, that their talents deserved to be seen and celebrated. The impact of the scholarship program extended far beyond individual recipients. It sparked a cultural shift, prompting other celebrities and public figures to step up and support educational initiatives. Schools began incorporating discussions about mentorship into their curriculums, encouraging students to seek out role models and build meaningful relationships. Teachers, too, felt renewed appreciation for their roles, knowing that their influence could shape futures in ways they might never fully realize. For Keanu, the experience reinforced everything he had learned from Mr. Thompson. Success wasn't measured by fame or fortune. It was about leaving the world better than you found it. By honoring his teacher and championing the next generation of creators, he was doing just that. And though the journey was far from over, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that he was making a tangible difference. As the years went by, Keanu continued to expand the program, reaching more students and communities than ever before. Yet no matter how large it grew, he never lost sight of its core mission, to inspire and empower. Whether speaking to a packed auditorium or mentoring a single student, he carried the same message, one of hope, resilience, and gratitude. Because, in the end, it wasn't about the accolades or the awards. It was about the connections we forge, the lives we touch, and the legacies we leave behind. Years passed, and the scholarship program grew into something far greater than anyone could have imagined. It wasn't just a fund anymore. It had become a beacon of hope for countless young artists, writers, and performers around the world. What started as a tribute to Mr. Thompson had transformed into a legacy that touched lives in ways Keanu never anticipated. Every year, hundreds of students applied, each with their own unique story of struggle, determination, and dreams waiting to be realized. And every year, Keanu found himself deeply moved by the courage and creativity of these young individuals. The annual award ceremony became one of the most anticipated events in the arts community. People traveled from all over to attend, eager to witness the celebration of talent and mentorship. The room buzzed with excitement as families, teachers, and supporters gathered to cheer on the recipients. For many of the students, this was more than just an award. It was validation that their hard work mattered, that someone believed in them enough to invest in their future. And for Keanu, it was a chance to remind everyone of the power of belief and encouragement. One year, during the ceremony, Keanu decided to do something different. Instead of delivering his usual speech about gratitude and perseverance, he invited past scholarship recipients to join him on stage. The audience watched in awe as a group of young adults walked up, their faces glowing with pride and confidence. Some were already making waves in their respective fields. Actors landing roles in major films, writers publishing books, painters showcasing their work in galleries. Others were still in school, honing their craft and building their careers. But regardless of where they were in their journeys, they all shared one thing: the impact of the scholarship program on their lives. Keanu handed the microphone to one of the recipients, a young man named Daniel, who had received the scholarship 3 years earlier. Daniel was now a filmmaker, creating short documentaries that highlighted social issues affecting underserved communities. "Before I got this scholarship," Daniel began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I didn't think my voice mattered. I thought no one would care about the stories I wanted to tell. But this program showed me that my perspective is valuable, that art can create change. And now, I'm using my films to give back, to shine a light on people who are often ignored." The audience erupted into applause inspired by Daniel's words. Keanu nodded along, feeling a swell of pride. This was exactly what he had hoped for when he started the program: to empower others to use their talents to make a difference. After Daniel finished speaking, another recipient stepped forward, a young poet named Elena. She recited a piece she had written specifically for the occasion, her words flowing like music as she expressed her gratitude to the program and to Keanu. By the time she reached the final line, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. As the evening continued, Keanu listened intently to each speaker, marveling at how diverse and powerful their voices were. They came from different backgrounds, faced different challenges, and pursued different forms of art. Yet they were united by a common thread: the belief that they could achieve greatness because someone once believed in them. It was humbling to see how a small act of kindness, like creating a scholarship fund, could spark such profound transformations. After the event, Keanu stayed late to meet with some of the recipients and their families. He always looked forward to these moments when he could connect with the students on a personal level. One family in particular stood out to him. A mother approached him, tears streaming down her face, and thanked him profusely for helping her daughter, Sophia, pursue her dream of becoming a dancer. "We couldn't afford lessons or costumes," the mother explained. "But because of this scholarship, Sophia has been able to train with some of the best instructors in the country. She even performed at Lincoln Center last year." Keanu smiled warmly, feeling a lump form in his throat. "It's not me you should thank," he said gently. "Sophia earned this through her hard work and dedication, and I'm sure she has amazing teachers guiding her along the way." The mother nodded, agreeing wholeheartedly. But Keanu knew that deep down, she understood the role the scholarship had played in opening doors for her daughter. These interactions reminded him of his own mother, who had worked tirelessly to support him and his sister when they were growing up. Like Sophia's mom, she had sacrificed so much to ensure her children had opportunities to thrive. Backstage later that night, Keanu reflected on the evening's events. He felt a sense of fulfillment that went beyond anything he had experienced in his acting career. Sure, winning awards and starring in blockbuster movies brought satisfaction. But this was different. This was about creating lasting change, about planting seeds that would grow into forests. As he sat alone in his dressing room, scrolling through messages of thanks and congratulations on his phone, he realized how interconnected everything was. His success had allowed him to give back, and in turn, those he helped were paying it forward in their own ways. The following week, Keanu visited a local high school to speak to students about the importance of pursuing their passions. The auditorium was packed, with kids spilling into the aisles to catch a glimpse of him. As he took the stage, he noticed a familiar face in the front row: Mia, the shy artist he had met years ago at the rural arts school. She was older now, more confident, and sitting beside her was Mrs. Lewis, her former teacher. Seeing them together made Keanu smile. Mia had grown into a talented illustrator, working on graphic novels that explored themes of identity and belonging. Her first book was set to be published later that year. During his talk, Keanu invited Mia to join him on stage to share her story. At first she hesitated, clearly nervous about speaking in front of such a large crowd. But with a little encouragement, she stood up and walked to the podium. "When I met Mr. Reeves," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I didn't think I was good enough to be an artist. I thought my drawings were just doodles. But he told me that my work mattered, that my ideas were worth sharing. That moment changed everything for me. It gave me the courage to keep going even when things got tough." Her words resonated deeply with the students, many of whom nodded in agreement. After her speech, Keanu hugged her tightly, proud of how far she had come. "You're proof that believing in yourself and having someone believe in you can make all the difference," he said. The audience cheered loudly, clapping for Mia and for the message she represented. Over time, Keanu began receiving letters and emails from teachers, parents, and students, thanking him for the scholarship program and its ripple effect. One letter in particular stood out. It was from a teacher named Ms. Carter, who wrote about a student named Jamal. Before receiving the scholarship, Jamal had struggled with self-esteem and doubted his ability to succeed as a musician. But after being awarded the grant, he flourished, composing original pieces and performing at local venues. "Jamal recently told me that he wants to start a non-profit to provide instruments to underprivileged kids," Ms. Carter wrote. "Your program didn't just change his life, it inspired him to change others' lives too." Reading the letter filled Keanu with a renewed sense of purpose. This was the true measure of success, not the number of awards or accolades, but the positive impact you leave on the world. He realized that while he had created the scholarship program to honor Mr. Thompson, it had evolved into something much bigger. It was a testament to the power of mentorship, resilience, and community, a reminder that we all have the ability to uplift and inspire one another. As the years went by, Keanu continued to expand the program, partnering with schools, organizations, and corporations to reach even more students. He also launched an online platform where aspiring artists could access free resources, tutorials, and mentorship opportunities. The goal was simple: to remove barriers and provide tools for anyone with a dream to chase it. Through it all, Keanu remained humble, knowing that none of this would have been possible without the guidance and belief of Mr. Thompson. Whenever he felt overwhelmed or unsure, he thought back to that fateful night in the auditorium, the night that reignited his connection to his roots and reminded him of why he started this journey in the first place. It was a reminder that success isn't just about achieving your goals. It's about lifting others up along the way and leaving a legacy of kindness and inspiration. And so Keanu kept moving forward, driven by the belief that every person has the potential to make a difference. Whether through art, education, or simply lending a helping hand, he knew that the smallest gestures could create the biggest waves. Because in the end, it wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about the lives we touch and the stories we help write. As the scholarship program entered its 10th year, Keanu Reeves found himself reflecting on how much had changed, not just in the world, but within himself. What began as a heartfelt gesture to honor Mr. Thompson had grown into a movement that transcended borders, cultures, and generations. The stories of students who had benefited from the program were no longer just individual successes. They were chapters in a larger narrative about hope, resilience, and the transformative power of belief. Keanu often wondered if he had done enough, knowing full well that there was always more work to be done. But every time doubt crept in, he reminded himself of the countless lives that had been touched and the ripple effects that continued to spread. That year's annual ceremony felt particularly special. It wasn't just because it marked a decade of impact, though that milestone was certainly worth celebrating. It was also because Mr. Thompson, now in his late 70s, had agreed to attend despite his declining health. For years he had avoided the spotlight, insisting that the focus remain on the students and their achievements. But this time, Keanu had personally asked him to come, explaining how much it would mean to everyone, not just to see him, but to hear directly from the man who had inspired it all. When Mr. Thompson walked into the auditorium, leaning heavily, On a cane but smiling warmly, the crowd erupted into applause. People stood up, cheering and whistling as he made his way to the front row. Keanu greeted him with an embrace, holding him tightly for a moment longer than usual. "Thank you for being here," Keanu whispered. Mr. Thompson patted his back gently. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," he replied, his voice steady, but soft. During the ceremony, Keanu invited Mr. Thompson to join him on stage. The audience fell silent as the elderly teacher slowly climbed the steps, his movements deliberate but dignified. When he reached the podium, he looked out at the sea of faces, students, teachers, parents, supporters, and took a deep breath. 10 years ago, he began, his voice trembling slightly. Keanu stood on this very stage and thanked me for believing in him. Today I want to thank him for believing in others, for taking the lessons we shared and turning them into something extraordinary. His words brought tears to many eyes, including Keanu's. Mr. Thompson went on to speak about the importance of mentorship, not just in schools but in every aspect of life. He talked about how teaching wasn't just about imparting knowledge. It was about planting seeds of possibility in young minds. Every student has potential, he said. It's our job to help them see it, nurture it, and trust that it will grow. And when they succeed, we must remind them to pass that gift forward, to become mentors themselves. The room erupted into applause once again, the sound echoing like thunder. Keanu stepped forward to take the microphone, his emotions barely contained. "Mr. Thompson taught me that success isn't measured by what we achieve for ourselves," he said, looking directly at his former teacher. "It's measured by what we do for others. This program isn't mine. It belongs to everyone who has ever believed in someone else, who has ever said, 'You can do this.' Tonight we celebrate those people. We celebrate the teachers, the parents, the friends, and the strangers who have lifted us up when we needed it most." After the ceremony, Keanu spent hours mingling with attendees, shaking hands, posing for photos, and listening to stories. One group of students approached him, eager to share their experiences. Among them was a young filmmaker named Ava, who had recently completed her first feature-length documentary about climate activists in her community. She handed Keanu a copy of the film, thanking him for the scholarship that had allowed her to pursue her passion. "This is my way of giving back," she said proudly. "I want to inspire others to care about the planet, just like you inspired me to care about my dreams." Keanu accepted the DVD with gratitude, promising to watch it as soon as possible. As he moved through the crowd, he noticed another familiar face, Mia, the shy artist he had met years earlier. Now a successful illustrator, Mia had traveled from across the country to attend the event. She held up a copy of her latest graphic novel, which had received critical acclaim. "I dedicated this book to you," she told Keanu, pointing to the acknowledgments page. "And to Mrs. Lewis, and to everyone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Keanu felt a lump rise in his throat as he flipped through the pages of the book. The illustrations were breathtaking, filled with vibrant colors and intricate details. But what struck him most was the dedication to the dreamers, the believers, and the ones who remind us that our voices matter. He hugged Mia tightly, overwhelmed by pride and gratitude. "You've come so far," he said, "and look at you, now, changing the world one story at a time." Later that evening, Keanu sat alone backstage, scrolling through social media posts and messages from attendees. Hashtags like "Why Thank You Keanu" and "Why Mentors Change Lives" flooded his feed, accompanied by photos, videos, and heartfelt notes. One message in particular caught his attention. It was from a mother whose son had struggled with severe anxiety and depression. Thanks to the scholarship program, he had discovered a love for photography, using it as a form of self-expression and healing. "You saved my boy's life," the mother wrote. "He's happier now than I've ever seen him. Thank you for seeing the light in him when he couldn't see it himself." Keanu stared at the screen, his eyes brimming with tears. Moments like these reminded him why he had started this journey in the first place. Fame and fortune were fleeting, but the impact of kindness and belief could last a lifetime. He thought about Mr. Thompson, about how a few encouraging words had changed his trajectory forever. And he realized that the true legacy of the program wasn't the awards or the accolades. It was the connections forged, the lives transformed, and the endless cycle of inspiration that kept moving forward. In the weeks that followed, Keanu announced plans to expand the program even further. He partnered with international organizations to provide resources and opportunities to students in underserved communities around the globe. He also launched a mentorship initiative, pairing established artists with aspiring creators to foster collaboration and growth. The goal was simple: to ensure that no dream was left unchased due to lack of support or opportunity. As the years passed, Keanu remained deeply involved in the program, attending events, meeting students, and continuing to advocate for the importance of education and mentorship. Though his acting career continued to thrive, he viewed the scholarship program as his greatest achievement, a testament to the power of gratitude and the enduring influence of those who believe in us. One day, while visiting a school in a small town, Keanu overheard a teacher talking to her class about the importance of perseverance. "Remember," she said, "success isn't just about talent. It's about grit, determination, and finding people who believe in you." Her words echoed those of Mr. Thompson, spoken decades earlier in a classroom where a young Keanu had once sat, unsure of his future. Smiling to himself, Keanu realized that the circle was complete. The lessons he had learned from his teacher had been passed down to new generations, creating a chain of inspiration that would continue long after he was gone. Years later, when Keanu looked back on his life, he knew that the scholarship program would be what he was remembered for, not the movies, not the fame, but the lives he had helped change. And in those quiet moments of reflection, he felt at peace, knowing that he had honored Mr. Thompson's legacy in the best way possible, by reminding the world that everyone has the power to make a difference. Because in the end, it wasn't about the awards or the recognition. It was about the stories we help write, the dreams we help ignite, and the love we leave behind.